copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Good morning, everyone. I call this, let's shout, yes. I call this exchange meeting to order. Please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the exchange meeting for May. I'm Kat Fimmel, the president of the 2024 RCSC Board of Directors. This meeting is audio and video recorded by the RCSC and made available to our members. Please silence your electronic devices. I'll try to remember at the end to have you turn them back on. We'll start by introducing our Board of Directors. Vice President McAdam.
Good morning.
Secretary Connie Jo Rickmeyer.
Morning.
Treasurer Anita Borski.
Morning.
Director Steve Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Director Chris Nedesham.
Good morning, everybody.
Director Tom Foster.
Good morning.
Director Preston Keiss.
Good morning.
Director James Ruff.
Good morning.
Our timekeeper for today will be Director Collins. Introduction of the management staff. Matthew D. Lazansky, General Manager.
Good morning.
Kevin McCurdy, Support and Finance Senior Leader.
Good morning.
Mike Whiproot, Facilities Senior Leader.
Hello.
Mike Diermeyer, Non-Golf Senior Leader.
Good morning.
Brian Duthu, Golf Senior Leader. Debbie Giles, Assistant to General Manager.
Morning.
And Marcia Johnson, the Board Coordinator.
Good morning.
We also recognize our audiovisual engineers, Alan Kleinhans, Doreen Rafferty, and Carla Young, I believe. Yes, I hope so. As always, we thank the Sundial staff for getting the room ready for us. Next up is the topics list. If you don't already have a copy of the topics list, they are on the back table, and you can grab yourself a copy. First up is the ongoing, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I asked you to silence yours. I thought I silenced mine, yet it wants to talk to me.
Just going to punish it.
Okay. First up is the ongoing negotiations on the 5-year lease for our libraries. Mr. D. Lazansky.
Yes, as we've spoken about before, we are in communication with both the library district as well as the real estate office there for Maricopa County. We've had several meetings back and forth. We've had discussions, and we have meetings planned the rest of this month. So we're still very optimistic and hopeful we'll have all this ironed out long before the leases expire.
Thank you. Next up is the 5-year plan and its relationship to turf reduction. Mr. D. Lazansky.
Well,
It's in there.
the turf reduction is in the 5-year plan, and there's been some question about the estimates, and well, the estimates are what you get from the people you work with, the architects for the golf course, as well as in conjunction with what we believe the state water department is going to be asking us for. So all of that is baked into the plan.
Thank you. Next item is a question as to whether the RCSC website has been updated since March. Mr. Delazansky.
The website has had a pretty thorough discussion about it. We do have a couple of bids that are being reviewed, and there's some questions by some of the board members, and we're going to meet on that, I believe, later this week, and hopefully we'll have a contract signed here soon.
Thank you for that piece of information. I think what the members were asking here in this question is whether our existing website is being updated.
Most of the existing website is being updated. There's some parts that we are holding until we're hopefully to have the new website going, and we'll tie those together rather than fixing every little bit of the old one. We'd rather just get the new one going.
Okay, thank you. Next up is a continuing question about freeing our fans. Could you give us the latest, please?
So the fans have mostly been addressed. There's still a couple people that want to have individual control over individual fans, and that's just not the way most places work. We've gone through the controversy we've had with people damaging the controllers and trying to resolve that, fights among the people. So right now, most of the people, I mean, there's one or two that are still not happy, and we're addressing those individually. If they will go and speak to the center leader about their concerns, but for the most part, the fans are the way they're going to be.
Thank you. The next item is air conditioning for the Vintage Vehicle Club.
Connie, would you like to address where we're at of that? She's got a long history in HVAC, and she's been helping us look at some alternatives to what would be a very expensive proposition, both in the short term and in the long term, to air condition that space.
Okay, so we have had one of our HVAC contractors come out and evaluate the existing system. It was not controlled properly, so we are working on trying to find the correct controls so that way it will actually function as it's supposed to. Is it going to be the same as, since it's swamp coolers or evaporative cooling, will it function the same as a full-blown air-conditioned system? No, but it's already there. The goal is to make that functional the way it was originally intended.
So if I understand that, we're going to continue on as is.
Yeah, they're looking for some additional controls. Currently, it only has on and off, and it was supposed to be a 6-position switch, so a big difference. So once we find out the contractor has the proper switching, we'll be able to assign the proper sequence to those units.
Thank you. The final item on the current list has to do with the indoor spa at Bell. And of course, we have a preference not to have indoor spas because they do not tend to do well and have to be continually fixed. Could you tell us what the latest is on the indoor spa at Bell, Mr. Delazansky?
Yes, so the indoor spa at Bell had some major issues because, as you said, having a spa inside is not always optimum because of the humidity that gets trapped in there. So there was quite a few issues up in the ceiling and up above in the walls themselves, as well as the equipment was needing replaced. So rather than continuing to operate a system that wasn't really working properly, we had some engineering work done. We've had some quotes on that. We're now in the position where we're looking at alternatives to putting it back, similar to the Vintage Vehicle Club. Maybe there's another way to condition that space that wouldn't be so costly as having the dehumidifiers and the AC units. So that is still a work in progress. The other alternative is that we don't return it to being an indoor spa and that it becomes repurposed space for something else. So we're diligently working on what is a better than returning it to what it was in kind of a flawed design, and we would have to do some extensive work both in the walls and in the ceilings and in the entire envelope of the room, as well as put in all new equipment. So we haven't even gotten that fully priced out, but it would be pushing $1 million probably by the time we're done as is. So we're looking for some better alternatives, perhaps a different use of that space.
Thank you. The host punch list card, guest cards passes are not on the current list, they're on the short-term list. But since we're just implementing this new program, I was wondering if you could give us an update on how things are rolling out. And just a reminder, I think, that the understanding was that there would be 1 year to roll out this program for people who had existing cards, and that if they were not used within that 1 year period, there'd be some mechanism for providing credit to the members. Can you speak to that, please, Mr. Delazansky?
Yes, you pretty much have that right. Kevin, do you want to add a few comments on that? He's been working with it more closely.
Sure. We have not released a formal date, but we're looking at June 1st as the date. The existing host punch cards that members still have with valid punches left would be accepted for another year. Once that year is up, if people still have valid punches left on their punch cards, we haven't come up with a formal process for that, but one idea is to convert those available punches to advanced deposit, which can be used by bringing your member card to a pro shop or a snack shop and being able to use that advanced deposit for purchasing items at the pro shop or the snack shop.
Thank you. Next up is the director's announcements, and I will begin with Vice President McAdam. You're going to offer an update on the property at Thunderbird?
Okay, very good. Yes, so most of you probably know that the former rehabilitation center that's located at 13818 North Thunderbird was put up for auction in the middle of April, and that the reserve requirement, which is the minimum bid that the seller would be willing to entertain, was not met. So thereafter, the seller's agent approached RCSC about potentially selling the property to us outside of auction. So this is a 4.6 acre property with about 48,000 square feet of buildings, which has been vacant for 9 years, located in the heart of Sun City, just 4 blocks west of the Lakeview Center. So upon determining that this property could be of interest to us, RCSC submitted a basic purchase agreement proposal for the property, which would give us time to perform all the due diligence necessary prior to making a decision to purchase. And the seller's agent has since countered with a different proposal, which is now under consideration. So just to be clear about this, a purchase agreement would set the terms of a potential transaction, including purchasing price, property condition, earnest money deposit, exclusive purchase option, inspection items, and so forth. It is not an obligation to purchase. So we are engaging legal counsel with expertise in commercial real estate to advise us in this process.
Thank you so much. Director Keiss, do you have some comments on the update of the Quail Run redesign?
Yes, we've gotten the bids back on Quail Run, and I'll be making a motion at the next board meeting to allocate funds for the redesign of the course, the irrigation system, to get it back up to snuff and stop the excessive leaking of water and water waste that's going on currently. It's necessary for us, for our own good, and plus for our water, lessening our water requirements for the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, along with that, also, I should add, we're also going to start, where I'm going to put in the motion to request funds to have a golf design team look at the South Golf Course, which has excessive space that is currently under irrigation, to see what we can do to mitigate that and lessen our water requirements for the future with that also.
Thank you. Director Neddersheim, do you have some comments about the Technology Committee?
Yes, thank you, everybody, and good morning again. The Technology Committee is looking for new members for the committee. If anybody is interested in being part of the Technology Committee, we would ask that you submit your resumes to Director Ruff or myself for review. Due to the nature of the Technology Committee, we do look at resumes to ensure that we have the right fit in the committee, but we are in the process of shifting from an infrastructure operations build into how we integrate our software into our infrastructure and operations. So anybody who has skills with technology, who's worked in a distributed architecture, and those of us that are in technology knows what that means, but anybody who's interested in that, we would really look forward to seeing your resumes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Director Rick Meyer, also seeking additional membership. Connie?
Morning again. I'd like to take a moment to speak about the Sun City Foundation. The Sun City Foundation was incorporated in 1986 as a charitable arm of the Rec Centers of Sun City and is a 501c3 not-for-profit. Some of the foundation's responsibilities include providing financial support to vetted Sun City resident RCSC members who, through financial hardship, are unable to pay their yearly assessment. Also support, raise awareness, and encourage RCSC activities and programs for the well-being and common good of RCSC members who are residents of Sun City. Another one of their responsibilities is to foster and support RCSC activities which further the cultural, educational, and life enrichment projects for RCSC resident members. The Sun City Foundation is looking for additional dedicated volunteers to further its mission to RCSC resident members. If you have prior experience with foundation work, grant writing, and/or sponsorship designation, and you are interested in learning more, please reach out to RCSC board members Kat Fimmel, Karen McAdam, Anita Borski, or Steve Collins. The RCSC board will review prospective volunteer candidates to determine the best possible fit. So we need volunteers for the foundation committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to be sure that we're being clear here. The reason why we are seeking volunteers is because the foundation currently has 7 members, and that is their minimum. They often and routinely have more members than that. And so we're looking to bring some people on. Thank you. Vice President McAdam, do you have, I guess we have a new kiosk at the library. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, certainly. So as of last week, there is a new and convenient way to record documents for Maricopa County. You can save yourself the trouble of taking a trip to the downtown office or from having to send documents through the mail. So the recording kiosk connects you directly to a county employee to give you the same experience in a more convenient location. So it's a screen contact with a live agent. It's available to anyone from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Bell Library, Monday through Friday, with obvious exceptions on holidays and so forth. It is live assistance. There are easy touch screen controls. There's immediate document scanning, and you can pay with a credit card. So this is actually, so the library is, as Jeremy Reeder, the director of the county library system, said, they're all about access. This is not something that is necessarily financially attractive to Maricopa County, but because they realize that we represent a community that would be very much served by having this sort of access. They have the kiosk set up. It's at the Bell Library, sort of as you head from the main library entrance down towards the bookstore. There's a little office back there where you can go. I also just wanted to mention a couple of other services that are provided. There is a free service to residents to help them be proactive against title fraud called Maricopa Title Alert. I have some information, not enough to have put it out on the back, but if anybody wants to ask me later afterwards, I might be able to give you some literature about this. TitleAlert.maricopa.gov is, as I said, a free service that's available to residents. And then I also just wanted to point out two further things here for two means-tested programs that exist, one that's called a senior valuation protection, and the other a personal exemption. So these are for means-tested folks who can either have their property taxes frozen at a certain level or actually reduced or eliminated altogether. And then finally, along with the recorder, the Maricopa County Recording Department or Recorder's Office, this is an election year, if you haven't noticed yet. So there is a BeBallotReady.vote, which gives you the ability to view and update your personalized voting information all online. You can check your voter status, you can view the election calendar, you can update your address, track your ballot, get your digital voter ID card, update your registration, and that's all available through the Maricopa County Recorder's Office. The primary election, just to give you a few dates, is July 30th. July 1st is the deadline for voter registration, and there are some intermediate deadlines in between there.
Thank you. Do we have any other director recommendations? Okay. Before I open the floor to our members, please be reminded that we have a 3-minute clock, and try to be respectful for all of those who wish to speak. Once we've gone around once, you can come back for a second comment. And with that, I will open the floor to our members.
I think it removes. If you want to just pull it, it should come out.
I'll pull it up. Maybe.
Oh, maybe it doesn't.
Are we there? Yeah, we are. My name is Roger Sharon Brock. Number is 23343. My subject is the proposed proposed online guest pass system. I read thoroughly what was on the Sun City update, and it seems to be a good procedure for ideal conditions. However, any system like this has to have a provision for exceptions. Pre-planned and prepaid activities sometimes don't happen for various reasons. So there has to be a system for rescheduling or cancellation with a refund or a credit to the member's account, something like that. Because no system works perfectly every time. That's my statement. And I thought about it pretty thoroughly, and I've been involved in the past in other systems. There always has to be some provision made for exceptions to the rule. Now, this is, of course, I was concerned about adult guest passes. Children might be a whole nother facet of this. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that the way it's written now, it doesn't explain anything about any variations. Okay? That's it.
Thank you.
Diane Modell, 145165. I have 3 questions. That Mountain View property, why are we even looking at it? What do we need that for?
Mountain View property or the Thunderbird property?
Huh?
I believe you're
At Thunderbird,
the
yes.
Thunderbird property.
Yeah, the Thunderbird property. What do we need that for? Sounds expensive, sounds like a lot of renovation. I'm not sure why we need that. My other question is to Matthew. You always talk about security and how there's a lack of security at the libraries. Do you have an incident report? Can you show us an incident report of how many incidents happen? And my last question is, well, no, I have 4, sorry. Why is the library contract taking so long? And then my last one is, I bowl at Oakmont. The water fountain was taken out, and I want to know why. So those are I wanted questions and answers.
Lawn bowl at Oakmont?
Well,
Yes.
maybe we can address your last question first. Some folks who don't live here and aren't members were using the water fountain at Oakmont for personal hygiene. And so we opted quite some time ago to remove the water fountain in favor of installing a water system inside of the lawn bowl area there at Oakmont. So we traded one watering system for another, but that was the reason why it was removed.
Okay. How about the other things? Is there an incident report? Can you show me how many incidents of security we have?
Well, with regard to incident reports, I'll jump on that one for a second, too. Those are confidential documents that contain confidential information. We don't release those. Maricopa County does keep some numbers for the actions they take, but they're scattered. They're not necessarily every incident. I think I'm going to turn it over to Mr. D. Luzansky for further information.
Yes, we've been approached about our incident reports, and as President Fimmel said, those are confidential. There is a lot of information that the county has, and we've actually asked the library district to help us with that. But the incident reports are not something we're going to be sharing. They are, as we said, confidential. We've received numerous emails wanting this information under the Freedom of Information Act and various things, and we've responded to those individually. So that's where that's at. And your question I already addressed about where we're at on the leases. We have been in contact with both the library district, with Mr. Reeder, as well as with they call it the real estate district or division, and those are going well. So we expect to have that done well before they expire. They have a number of things that they're interested in. We have a number of things. That's the way negotiations work. We have a term list. We have things we're incorporating into the leases, and that process is moving forward.
Okay. Well, I'm going back to this incident thing. You told us it was for security, and you know, I've talked to other places. I've talked to the people that work in there, and we don't see the security issue. We don't see it. So that's why we're questioning the transparency of it.
Well, people say that. Well, I don't see that. Well, you don't see people, for example, at Fairway trying to bathe in the outdoor fountain there, but it happens, and it happens often. And the people who are there all day long, they see it. People are coming into our facility there at Fairway that are not members of our community, and they are using the bathrooms and doing other things there. You may not have been there at the times that these persons were trespassed from the facility, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It does happen. Just simply because every member doesn't see it happen doesn't mean it doesn't happen, because it does. And we're trying to do something about it, both for their benefit and ours as well. We don't want non-members using our facilities. I don't think you want that.
Yeah, but they blame the library, and it isn't the library, it's Fairway. Fairway is not set up to screen people as they come in the door.
Excellent observation. We've observed that as well. Mr. DeLuzansky, are we taking steps to remedy that issue?
Yes, absolutely we are. We have a design for moving the desk over toward the front door. We're working on what those costs will be, and we'll have that done this year.
We're going to have a temporary solution.
Probably have.
Now, we didn't answer the first question that you asked, which is why we're considering the property at Thunderbird. And I'll let did you want to address that a little?
We ask ourselves the same question, is this a wise thing to do or isn't it a wise thing to do? And part of the reason that we're in the process of a purchase agreement is that we need to have time to run that through our own internal processes, which involves finance and budget, which involves the long-range planning, which involves the 5-year plan. And so those things precisely that question is being addressed through the normal processes that we would have.
Thank you. Oh, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a comment about the people in Fairway that shouldn't be there. 2 weeks ago today, I'm the person that puts the books out for sale in that vestibule. 2 weeks ago today, I was there to pick up the money. I was on my way to the Bell Library. There was a homeless gentleman sleeping in a chair there with all of his belongings spread all over. It was difficult to get around him. He woke up when I came in, and I said, "Are you sure you're supposed to be in here?" And he kind of looked startled, and he said, "Oh, no, I'll pick up my stuff and I'll leave." And he did. So there are people that are there. It's the first time I've seen somebody, but he was there and was quite spread out and making it difficult for people.
Good morning. My name's Mary Dahlman Shopper. My number is 128-442. I've got about 4 questions to go over. The first one, performing arts. There was conversation about, does it stay at Mountain View? Do we go to Fairview? I have yet to hear any kind of answer or plan or anybody taking charge of that. Second question, 5-year plan. Has that been contracted out? Are we paying a contractor to put that together? Or when might we see some results of the 5-year plan, especially before we get into a 10 or 15? It's a nice gig if you can get it, but let's get the 5-year plan nailed down first. I too have the question about why are we even considering buying a 9-year-old building, that Thunderbird thing on 111th? And the library. We all love the libraries. I am concerned that we are already in May. Right now, what we have is a contract that goes through December. Yes, I've already talked to Mr. D, the general manager. And if we do nothing, if we wait and we wait and we wait, because we're negotiating and we're all in good faith and all of that kind of thing, we're going to get to the end of the year and it's just going to kind of like, oops, it fell off the table, and we're not going to have any libraries. So I'm requesting that between the management team and the board that we have a date by which that contract is signed for the 2 libraries that we have, be it the end of October or the end of November, so that we, the community, know that the libraries are secure. There.
Well, the libraries aren't going to fall off the table, and it involves 2 parties, them and us, and they have as much opportunity to converse in the matter as we do. But go ahead, VP.
Yeah, so I don't think we're even thinking about October there, Mary. We actually have a meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock, so this is the internal meeting, and on the 24th of May, we have a meeting together with the Maricopa County Library District. We have been in communication, email communication. It's just some things are easier to work out when you're actually sitting down around a table together. So we fully anticipate that this will be done long before October.
It's already May.
I realize, but you do know that we are moving forward on it. A meeting this week, a meeting next week, we're working hard on it. It'll get done.
Having had a lot of experience in corporation and doing projects and all of that, if you don't date it, you're going to go past time, and no one's going to take responsibility for why didn't it get done.
Well, as long as we're continuing to speak to each other, it will eventually get done. It's an important issue for both sides, and they should be able to take the time that they need. The end product should be a 5-year lease for our libraries.
My point is eventually, and could be, and we might get it done, does not mean that as a community that it's being addressed and we're going to get it done. We have a date by which it will be done.
Mr. DeLuzansky, can you give us an update on the architect-engineer contract for the Mountain View project?
Yeah, so we're switching topics then so I just want to be sure. I'd just like to address your concern. I'm responsible to make sure those leases get done, and I'm going to make sure they get done in a timely manner and in a manner that's best for the community. So I'm committed to that. So we don't have a date, but as you said, we have until the end of the year. That's plenty of time. We're well along. So let me address your question, President Fimmel. So the people have been contacted. They're due back Wednesday, aren't they? 15th.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. on Wednesday, we'll have the first round of responses from the RFP, and that is the entire Mountain View, including the Performing Arts Center. That will be the first go-round with the architects and engineers to see what they're offering, and then we'll take it from there. And it's another process. These processes are planned out. They take time, but we are working the process, and we will have a result. And that will be given to the board. The board will be part of it.
Is Fairview still in the running for this?
What are you talking about?
Performing arts being taken up to Fairview.
I think you mean Lakeview, not Fairway.
Lakeview, I'm sorry. You're correct. You are correct, sir. It is Lakeview.
The way it's laid out to them is they get to take a look at what we have and tell us what they think is the best. That's how it was proposed. That's how we expect them to respond.
And in the meantime, the monies that were set forward for this are in hold or are being used for other things?
No. We have the money. The money is reserved based on the past planning in the past budget. So the monies are there. That's not the issue. The issue is figuring out what we want to do and where, and continuing with that decision for a long enough to do it. So we're in the process, just like we were a few years ago, and we will be making strides in that. Like I said, 3 o'clock Wednesday, we'll take a look at the first round.
The money is in the PIF. The money will remain in the PIF. You asked one other question about the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
The 5-year plan was an internal mechanism. The team leader for that plan was Mr. Whiproot. Did you want to make any comments, Mr. DeLuzansky, with regard to the 5-year plan?
Yeah, again, that is a team, a management team that's following a process, and they've improved the process. I think I wrote about it in the May update. I'm very thankful for them, and they should have a result done by the end of this month. They've been working on it since last year. This isn't something we've gone out and contracted out for. You may be thinking about a master plan that we're looking at putting in the budget for next year. But as far as the 5-year plan and the 10-year PIF, that's all internal.
What I'm looking for is the responsibility that I expect from a management team, from a board of directors that says, here's our target date, this is what we're working for, and this is why we're not going to meet it, or we met it and we exceeded it. That's what I'm expecting.
I agree, and it was in the update last month, the entire schedule for the budget. So we're showing you, this is what our plan is. These are the deadlines in here. We're going to have this done in this month.
I have it with me.
Okay, so we're within that schedule. We have a plan, and we're working the plan.
It'd be great if you had some really dates to it so that we could follow that too. Thank you.
Thank you. And I might add that once again this year, the budget process will be an open project where our members can attend and participate. Yes, ma'am.
Helen Tomich, 123016. I'd like to address the fans in the fitness center. I know we've gone over this several times. However, I don't know who you're talking to say most people are satisfied, because nobody I've talked to is satisfied. In fact, I have 2 friends who are unable to use the gyms any longer because they have dry eye, and the fans affect that. I also wondered if it would be possible to at least turn some of them off so that those of us who don't want to be under direct air conditioning have a choice. Do all of the fans have to be on?
I think I'm going to defer to Mike on how we're addressing the fans. There is a very small portion of our membership that still has some concerns, and how are we addressing that?
So we are, what I'm asking the center, we have a center leader at every center now. And I'm asking the center leader to keep their ear to the ground when someone is upset about the way the conditions are, the fans, the temperature, to go have an on-site conversation with the people so that we can get better data to assess the situation so we can make a better determination. We kind of made a sweeping one to begin with because we had to take control away from the fans. They were just, it was getting abused, and there was infighting going on. So now we're at a point where the control is gone away. Now we need to make individual center-based specific decisions based on the feedback. So please ask any of the employees to grab the center leader, the center co-leaders, talk to them directly.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, because I know when we initially had this conversation at one of these meetings, we had at least 2 medical people who stated that it's very dangerous for seniors particularly to try to work out, in other words, use your muscles in a cold climate. And I've talked to several people. I go to 2 different gyms, Sundial and Marinette, and I've talked to a bunch of people who are having issues with that. So I hope that being able to talk directly to the management at that facility will help. My second question, though, is how much more is it costing us to run those fans full-time? Because APS just raised rates, and if we're concerned about expense, what is it costing us to have all those fans on rather than some of them or whatever?
Well, for one thing, most of our electricity is generated by our solar panels during the day. The cost of the fans is negligible compared to our HVAC load. So it's not a huge amount of money.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Carol Davis, 131837. I drove by that potential property on Thunderbird, and I did not go on the property, but it looks as if there's between 52 and 60 parking spaces that are there. Isn't there either federal or state guidelines as to how many parking spaces there needs to be for 48,000 square feet?
So if I could answer that question for you quickly, there are 67 parking spaces on the property currently. The reason that doesn't meet code has to do with the fact that the usage of the building at the time it was built, the assumption was that many of the people that were in there were not going to be driving. But that would change for us. And the Maricopa County Code is that you need to have one parking space for every 200 square feet. And we've done some calculations right now. If we kept all 48,000 square feet of it, we would have to put in 175 additional parking spaces.
I knew you'd do your homework, but I just wanted to point it out that, I had the opportunity to visit a person there, and all the parking for all the visitors and people that were employed, were around in the actual streets in front of the condos. And it was really difficult for visitors to even go into those condos. So the parking needs to be there.
Understood, and it also depends on what we use the property for and whether or not we maintain the full rooftop that's currently there. So there are a number of factors that will influence the number of parking spaces we'll need.
And second, there's something called the electrical grid that's federal, and it's all messed up. And need to realize that if you implement the cost of all this air conditioning, we might be put out on a rotating basis, even though we're a senior community. It's not fact, it's just an opinion that all this air conditioning and stuff, we might be cut back in the next 10 years. Who knows what is really going to happen? I'd love to know what the issues that Maricopa County are trying to implement in their negotiations. I know that I won't be able to find that out, but it had crossed my mind. What are they asking for?
So if I could just interject a thought there, Carol will...
I'm gone.
So just to give you an example, our libraries have been designated cooling centers. So there's an Maricopa Government Heat Relief Network that exists. And there are actually 4 different categories of heat relief that can be provided. A cooling center is the least demanding of these. It involves having air conditioning and a water fountain. The next level up means that you actually distribute bottles of water. The one above that is that you actually allow people to sleep there, and the one above that is that you actually do all those things and you collect items that you then also distribute to people, clothing and food and all that kind of stuff. So historically, we have been a cooling center, and part of the negotiations is that was us to ask whether it was necessary for us to be designated that way, which simply means that, let's say a law enforcement officer is working with somebody and there's a need, he can pull up an app and say, where's the closest cooling station, and that person could potentially be directed to the libraries. That is no longer going to be part of the arrangement. So with the considerations that we've had, Maricopa County has said it's not a requirement. We can remove that from the Maricopa Heat Relief Network, which is not to say that we would say no to somebody that comes, but people are not going to be directed to our libraries for that reason.
That kind of comment is really, really helpful for everyone to understand, what is really going on in the negotiations. And I'm a member of Mini Golf, and we really enjoy Mountain View, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Pat Tonema, 136596. Let me just say that the problem of people with no place to live who have to live on the street is not a specific Sun City problem. It's a global problem. I and others have repeatedly requested to see incident reports of the alleged homeless problems at Fairway Rec Center and the library. The safety and compliance manager replied to me that as a private corporation, RCSC is not subject to freedom of information requests and does not release incident reports. They're confidential, etc. I was also sent a crime map of the area, which interestingly had no crimes anywhere near Fairway. Many of us are skeptical about the alleged safety incidents that would prompt such a draconian measure as shutting down public community libraries. How about just publishing a list of dates and the specific type of problem that was caused by proven homeless individuals? No names of anyone involved. We know all incident reports are carefully recorded by RCSC. Here's a chance to demonstrate this new policy of honesty and transparency. When there was a stabbing 2 miles from Fairway, a board member emailed me if, God forbid, anything similar should happen to a resident on our property, we would never hear the end of it. How could you not have foreseen the likelihood of such an event? Like I was personally responsible for endangering our Sun City seniors. What a fear-mongering fuss was raised over the alleged homeless threat to the safety of our citizens at Fairway. So one would think there'd be a mighty concern about that building that is being considered on 111th and Thunderbird, just a few blocks from the very epicenter of this area's drug dealing and crime. I talked to some people who work and live in the neighborhood, and they said, yes, up until 2 months ago, there was a homeless problem, that people were hanging out there. No doubt there would need to be a hefty chunk of money earmarked for building a nice big wall all around that property to keep us safe. Maybe even crowned with concertina wire. A suggested nickname, the Fortress. It's pretty apparent that RCSC is salivating over potential new space for offices and whatever, but with only 67 parking places, every Denny's has more than that. Maybe take care of Mountain View construction decisions before you tackle another enormous rebuilding project.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike Modell, and my number is 145164. And I have a new item for you guys. As some of you may know, we have a greenhouse as part of the Garden Club of Sun City at the Grand Center, and I'm the manager of that greenhouse. On April 10th, something happened with the shade curtain that is automatically controlled to open and close during both day and night. During the day, it provides shade for the plants, and at night, it provides heat retention in the greenhouse. Something happened in the mechanism that moves those shade sections to break the connection devices that are used by the single motor to open and close it. So on the 10th, a request for a work order was provided. On the 11th, an expedited work order was written. On the 26th, it was determined by RCSC staff they could not repair it, and they needed the supplier to come in to effect the repairs. And on the 13th, today, we still haven't heard of a timeline for this action to take place. So my concern is, one, with the amount of time, and two, with the lack of communication about what's happening in terms of contacting the supplier, getting a commitment from the supplier to come in and do the work, and when the work would be performed. We are now moving into 100-degree days, and the plants in the greenhouse are going to get fried. So the people that are there, diligently trying to, at this point of the season, get their plants to harvest, are disappointed by the fact that these plants are now going to suffer irreversible damage and not get to the point where we can harvest. So just wanted to tee that up and try to see if I can get some action.
Thank you. I can speak thoroughly to this issue.
Okay.
We are, the supplier doesn't have anybody that can fix it. They've recommended somebody that can. We've reached out to them.
You mean a third party? Is that...
Third party, but they would not qualify to be a vendor under our RCSC insurance requirements. He wanted us to pay for him to fly out from Colorado, it is, I believe, to assess the situation.
Yeah, Colorado is where all this material was sourced.
Yeah, well, the supplier is doing nothing to support this. It's not a warranty item. We've had that thing for, what, 3 years now? Yeah. So we're struggling. We know the issue. We have someone that claims they can fix it, but they won't provide us the insurance information. So I need a vendor. I need a vendor is what it really boils down to.
I'm glad I learned something today about the status. On the 26th, I requested that RCSC come in with tall ladders because it's up fairly high and disconnect the curtain from the mechanism and manually slide the curtain closed and leave it in the closed position permanently to allow the plants to, continue to make it through the season.
I'll have to talk to my maintenance manager, Ray Davis. I'm sure we could probably address that situation. Again, it's not a fix, it's a temporary solution.
Right. But it would get us through the rest of this year into the summer when we can't control the temperatures in there to grow anything anyway.
We'll come down there and check it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Jean Totten, 148753. I trust and hope that all the mothers, grandmothers, stepmothers, aunties had a lovely weekend. Nice to see you back, Kat. I hope you had a good time off. Because of time restrictions, I would like to ask my questions first, as most of the people so far this morning are, and then get feedback so that it doesn't eat into my time. I was going to ask for an update on the progress of Mountain View. I think that's been addressed because we were told that you would probably have an answer by the end of the month. Progress on the library lease, that's been taken care of. I was wondering if I could speak, or if you could speak to the progress of the communications department. I've heard that word many times this morning already, that if perhaps communication was more forthcoming from this group, people in your audience would know a little bit more about what was going on and there wouldn't be so much consternation. The Communication and Outreach Committee, of which I am a member, has been advised to work without a staff member until the department is up to speed. From 6 to 12 months, we were told. I believe all the other committees, golf, properties, they work with their senior leader or their department managers, and I'm not too sure I understand why communications is handoff right now. At the last exchange, a member with a long history of working with nonprofits suggested that you, the board, could use some help. I wondered how that was going. And my last item is, again, something that has come up several times this morning. Center leaders. I applaud the fact that we now have center leaders. But who are they? We have no way of knowing. The org chart that's on the website does not list any names. How are we, as average members, supposed to know who the senior leader is? And that kind of, I wanted also to mention the article that was in The Independent regarding RCSC taking steps to improve communications. In it, it was mentioned that another new communication method under development is that the staff's video team in Focus is creating a series of videos. each highlighting one center, including a discussion with that center's leader. I thought In Focus was a committee that we had here. I was not under the impression that this was a staff project. So I wondered if someone could address that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Deluzinski, do you have some comments?
Sure. So In Focus is a committee, and In Focus is the committee that actually came up with the idea for doing the centers. So if that's miscommunicated somehow in the paper, I don't understand why that would be. We do have new staff coming up on board in terms of the people in communication. Mike, maybe you'd like to give us an update, and I think we might have an offer out right now.
We have a communications coordinator that accepted the position that will start at the end of this month. Jolin's going on vacation, so he's going to start at the end of the month, and she's going to work with him and train him and bring him up to speed so that we can communicate better.
And do you still have someone at the visitor center who's tied in with communications?
Currently, we do not. The visitor center, we have 2 great staff members there. They've been running the show and handling everything very well at the Welcome Center.
Okay, and when will the communication department, when do you feel it will be up to speed that they can work with the Communication and Outreach Committee?
Once we get the coordinator up to speed and get him trained and understanding everything that's going on, we may make another addition to that department depending on the needs. And so I figure probably by the end of the year, we should be good to go.
For communication?
For proper communication.
For
to
proper
really do it the right way. To really do it well.
To do it the right way.
Correct.
We also have our website that we want to have the communication department fully aware of what's happening, and part of that whole program with redesigning the new website. So there's a lot of moving parts right now, and many people, some retiring, other people left. So we're retooling the whole communication area, and we'll have new tools with the new website. As well as taking and moving the comment cards to a different platform. So there are a lot of things that are underway to improve communication. We are making, I think, some good efforts and some good success in that. I will look into getting the center leaders out, and I will talk to the In Focus committee about when they plan on doing the first one and which one it's going to be. And if that seems to be taking too long, maybe we'll find an alternative.
Okay. I thank you. I do think you're missing the boat on communication, however. Thank you.
John Fast, member 153253. Thank you to the board and committee members for your volunteer efforts and for this opportunity to speak against the purchase of the Thunderbird property. My message is simple and shared by many. We ask you to stop all efforts to purchase this property and focus on the important tasks ahead of you, particularly the long-range plan. In my opinion, one of the major reasons Sun City has been such a success is the diligent and expert planning that was done before a single house was built. Del Webb had an army of experts, and I encourage the board to hire an urban planning firm specializing in recreational planning to objectively comb through our data and advise the board and members regarding the process and policies we need to follow for a successful future. Nobody expects that you, as volunteers with differing backgrounds, would have that expertise. As a result of the tireless efforts of members of the Long Range Planning Committee, we finally have a solid mission, vision, and value statement and are ready to take the next step to develop a solid plan to fulfill it. In simple words, please plan wisely, spend wisely. Now, My reason for requesting RCSC not to pursue the Thunderbird property have certainly been considered in your evaluation of the opportunity, but I'll repeat them here so that we can all see the monumental challenges this property poses. A study of the utilization of our existing air-conditioned flat floor space facilities indicates that they are 30 to 40% used. If anyone wants an example of that, look behind you. This building, the Thunderbird property, is specifically designed as a hospital and not as a recreation center or an office building. So it's not a general purpose building, it's a special purpose building. At $500 per square foot, this 49,000 square foot property could cost $25 million to renovate. At that level, it could also cost $1.2 million to increased overhead. So there's a number of other things on here, and I'm running out of time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you for considering this request.
Thank you.
Good morning. Jacob Zarember, member number 39772. Thank you, board members, for your service. Pardon my voice. As you can see, I'm not very projective. I've been here in Sun City for 26 years, legally. In the time that I've been here, I've seen many board members, many management people come and go. I'll be the first to admit I haven't attended every single meeting. I have occasionally come to the meetings, and I'll be the first to tell you that over the years, I have seen a lot of underhanded, backroom politics and little-known facts that are not allowed to the public. We need to adjust your policies about executive sessions, confidentiality issues, and we need to find out more about what's going on with the board, with management, about the issues that concern us. There's been the problem of safety and security that was given to us as one of the problems or one of the reasons to close down Fairway Library. That it does not fly with us. We don't believe that. The Fry's parking lot had an incident last month where there was a stabbing, helicopters were flying around, and there were arrests made. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I wasn't there. But you don't see Fry's supermarket closing down. We need our libraries to remain open, and we need more transparency from the board and from management. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want my card number, right?
Yes. And your name first, please, sir.
Pardon?
Your name, sir?
Oh, my name is Granville Pearson.
Thank you.
My card number is 128171. I'm only here for a brief comment. I don't have a major complaint at the moment. I'm here to speak because Teresa Cirillo has left some months ago, and I wanted to say that my wife and I attended a lot of the shows that she put together, and I had more than one occasion to chat with her, and I wanted to say that I'm very sorry that she has left. I think she did an outstanding job, and I would like to make note of that because, as I understand it from other sources, she had a very heavy load, and she did an outstanding job in my eyes and my wife's eyes. So I'd like to make note of that we miss her dearly, and we hope that she's doing very well. And I'd like people to know that. Okay? Thank you.
Good morning, Cheryl McLean. Well, I'm up here frequently. I don't always have something planned to say, but I do want to say, Cheryl McLean, 100212. Sorry about that. And I don't think coming up here is always for a complaint. I have a lot of positives to say. I am very happy with the board right now, and I've been coming to board meetings on and off since we've been here in 2006. First off, I want to say, can there be any way for that timer and the person holding up the thing to be where people are seeing? Because I don't think people always see that if you're trying to speak right here. So that's a suggestion. And then I'm going to be very, very unpopular, but I know that the board at one point purchased the property where Grand Center is. So this is not the first time that Sun City has bought additional property since Del Webb built Sun City. So that was one, where the Grand Center is. On this property on Thunderbird that you're suggesting, I know that's been empty for a long time. We've gone by it quite frequently, and there's complaints about the parking, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to go into all the problems with electricity and all that, but my biggest concern is if Sun City Rec Center does not buy that, who will buy that? We don't know what that could turn into. And again, I'm going to be unpopular, but I don't want it to become a drug rehab center. This is Sun City. This is a senior city. We have a drug facility where I don't think it's where they stay at the corner, well, right across the street from Fairway. I'm very concerned about that facility being bought by somebody and being turned into something we don't. So we have the opportunity to buy it. I'm for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Joanne Greeny, 106561. Good morning, board members and management team. Just four bullet points that I brought with me today is communication. And I see on the different blogs, people don't know, well, how do I know about this meeting or that meeting? And that's where I would like to suggest, recommend, find out how we could mail these monthly newsletters, updates to each and every house and put it in the mailbox. Yes, I know people are gone for 1, 2, 3 months in the summer, but it's in the mailbox. Now, I have 2 sisters that are snowbirds. I keep one of these for them when they return, so they can read what's happened, what's changed, so they can keep their eye on updating concerts. And I just think we spend money in many, many, many ways. I think this would be a good investment to mail that to each house. I do feel as though the debacle with the libraries and now talking about this new building that we might buy, in my mind, I'm seeing this strictly as a distraction so that you don't have to talk about the Mountain View project and all of the pickleball tents that we want. Just saying. I'm still, credit cards is still one of my pet peeves. Remember, you cannot go broke if you only use cash. You can go into debt using credit cards. I feel as though it is just another surveillance, and it's in controlling what I do, where I go, and RCSC, Wells Fargo, Big Brother does not need to know how many times I play golf every month. Then, you know, with this, in the centers here, having these co-leaders or a center leader, so this is a salary position that they just walk around the centers and talk to people? Do they have an office? Are they there from 9 to 5? What is that position?
It's, is this on? Oh, it is now. It's a salaried position. They're basically managing the staff and all the functions of the facility.
So you've got...
So their schedule rotates, though. They kind of work when needed. So they might work on the weekends, they might work evenings. It just depends.
So there's usually Bell, I go there. So there's like 2 people at the front desk. Maybe there's 1 or 2 maintenance. Who else are they managing?
So there, at Bell especially, there are probably 10 to 12 custodians working or center associates working throughout the building, just keeping things clean and other operations.
So then if I go to the front desk when I check in, I could ask that front desk person, who is our center leader today? And then if I have a compliment or an issue, I could find that person and talk with them rather than trying to remember what I want to say when I walk home and remember my password to get online to send an email that has 25 typos in it.
They would radio for the center leader, and you could have a conversation with them as long as they're working at that time.
Okay. Thank you. And I think we would always have more attendance here if we would please move this meeting out of the 9 a.m. time when there's so many other things to do. Thank you.
Thank you. I also would just make a brief comment that, not that we want to track you, but knowing the numbers of usage is important to us, so.
John Gallows, 41189. I just want to thank you all for the transparency. Some other people are saying it's not. I find information that I want, and I hear it every time I come to these meetings, so I love it, and thank you. Thank you for doing your diligence on the property over on Thunderbird. When I played Monopoly, I bought everything, so I'm not a good one to ask about that. So, and thank you about dealing with the homeless issue. I think you're looking after our best interests, keeping us safe, and dealing with that rather than just letting it fester and grow. So thank you for that. But my main reason for coming up here, something different. We have a 12-year-old, 20-pound blind dog. And yesterday morning, I got up and opened up the door, let him go outside. Standing on the patio, the dog's 20 feet away from me, and around the side of the garage, all of a sudden comes a coyote. Tears after my dog. I start running right away, yelling. That coyote didn't care. He went down there, grabbed my dog, forced it to the ground, and I was getting close to the coyote by that time, and so he got up and ran away. You can ask my wife. My voice was a little high at the time. Anyways, my question is, they're protected, right, coyotes? But what can you do? Because like half an hour later, here comes 2 coyotes back through my yard. I think they got a taste of my dog and liked it. And then half an hour after that, 3 goes through. And then I see them, they jump up on those, the compounds that got the 7-foot wall, up there, walking there, jumping down in the neighbor's yard who has dogs and stuff. I ran over there and they ran away, but I'm just like, is there anything that can be done about the coyotes, or is that just like, we live here, so it's just like you got to keep your dog on a leash constantly. I mean, 20 feet from the dog, 20 feet, 40 feet. And I just took off running, when the coyote came, but the coyote didn't care when I was yelling until I got closer to it. Dog's fine, by the way, nothing. I'm just some coyote slobber on it. But
that's good to know.
But there's nothing, or who's responsible for coyotes, or just nothing? Okay.
The coyotes, unfortunately, were here before us. I know, or I've heard in the past, that they made attempts to move the coyotes, and the coyotes keep coming back.
So many rabbits and food supply, I suppose, or little dogs.
Lots of bunnies.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was it. So, and again, you guys are doing a wonderful job. I may be a minority, but I think you're doing great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sir, you can reach out to I believe it's Maricopa County, not animal control, but like forestry or whatever. That they've told, there also is a Facebook page that is the Sun City Coyote Project. They've talked about, they've been monitoring, so go online and let them know about your incident with your dog, because they keep track of all that. But they basically tell us that they're here, and there's.
We had heard the story, but I couldn't believe when I saw him jump up on that wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I lost a 10-pound little fluff ball. Let's see here, July something 2019. She was killed. If she'd been eaten, I would have I would have tolerated it, but she was just killed and dragged around and played with. So.
I'm back. Diane Modell, 145165. I'm back about the incidents reports. So it's all about the homeless in our city. And I am very blessed that I'm not homeless, and we all are. But we're not addressing that problem. We're not addressing the homeless. And if I was homeless, what town would I live in? Sun City. It's safe. It's safe here. I don't blame them for wanting to be here if I was homeless. It's a safe community. Yes, they may use the bathroom. They may bathe someplace, because God forbid, they have to. They have to. They're homeless. The county doesn't provide any shelters for these people. We don't do anything for the homeless. And it's not a problem that is getting less. It is growing because housing in this country is unaffordable. If you make minimum wage, you can't afford a house. So we need to address the problem, the homeless. What can we do for the homeless that they are not a problem going into our facilities?
Madam President.
Director Collins.
You need to contact your congressmen and your senators and your state assembly. This is not anything that we can do. You need to contact the proper officials, which is Maricopa County, the state officials, and the United States Senate and Congress.
I have, and nobody's doing anything, just passing the buck. Passing.
Thank you.
Good morning, Sue Bleckel, 137471. I'm the president of the Friends of the Sun City Libraries, and I'm here to thank the board and the management and all the good people of Sun City who want their libraries. I'm very hopeful that the 5-year leases will be completed and signed very shortly, and that our libraries will continue to thrive with the support of all the people here. April was a wonderful awareness time for libraries. Our bookstore set a record for sales, I think $4,500. And for used books, that's a lot of books. But I thank you all, and I am hopeful. That's the best word I can use. I would like to say I'm confident, but I am hopeful that all of the concerns of the district, the library district, and RCSC will be met, so it's win-win, win-win-win all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Lorraine Shalaba, 145957. First, I want to thank the board for fixing the front doors to the Bell Library now that the temperatures are ranging 100 degrees. We really do appreciate it because it was really a stone in my shoe with those doors not closing. You also fixed the outdoor showers. A lot of people would go to the outdoor showers, press the button, no water would come out, and they'd just go and jump into the walking pool. There are some other things, though, that have come to my attention. I kind of survey the folks in the pool, and now everyone's coming to me kind of venting their opinions and suggestions. So I went around and took pictures. There is like a black line all around the walking pool, and so what I was told to ask, is that mold, is that dirt, is that a chemical imbalance?
Right outside of going into the pool, there's a lot of black marks before you go in. Does that need to be clean? Is that a sanitary issue as well? The surface is lifting. I went by today. The one part where you have the 2 orange cones, it's about 2 inches high, and the attendants have kind of put chairs around it so people don't use it to walk by, but I think that's kind of a health concern as well. Somebody can kind of trip and fall over those. Again, and you can see me after if you want to get a better look at the pictures or want to take the pictures. The surface is crumbling everywhere. And we've got all these little white pebbles in our shoes, in our car, when we go home in the laundry room. I have multiple pictures of that. This is to the entrance to the ladies' room from the outdoor pool. You can see it's worn away, that you can see the wood structure there. And if you look at the numbers, I took pictures of all the lanes, how all the white pebbles are on all the numbers, and they're just everywhere. But the one that was the most frightening was the indoor restroom with the yellow caution tape. I said, oh my gosh, it looks like there was a murder committed in there. Are these things going to be addressed at all, and where are they on the schedule? But I have a lot of questions, so I'm going to go ahead and say all my questions because my time is going to run out shortly. You said there's a problem with the indoor spa at the Bell Pool. Do you not have any issues with the pool here that would be similar at the Sundial Pool? Because there's pools and spas and everything over there. I would think there might be a parallel maintenance issue there. And then the incident reports, the independent reports incidents, but all they do is say the issue that happened, whether someone had an ambulance call or a suicide call or someone attempted a break-in or robbery, and then they just list the name of the street. They don't list the exact address, so they do protect people's identities. And also that happens on the Ring doorbell app. If there are incidents in your neighborhood, they will show a ring on your Ring doorbell app where it is. They don't give you the name or the direct address or even the street. They just show you a little ring on that. I would like to just real quickly, I know my time is up, say that I support you purchasing the Thunderbird property because land is very limited here, and that's a very limited opportunity, and it's, as Ms. McAdams had mentioned, it's in the center of our beautiful city, and it would, it could be the crowning jewel of our location. So, I know I'm not a member of the performing arts. I don't even know anybody on the performing arts, but when I saw the pictures of how it was located, streets on all sides, what an awesome opportunity to make that the crowning jewel of Sun City. Please consider that. And if you want to answer my questions, I would look forward to it. Thank you. My time's up.
I would make one quick comment. The reason why we don't have similar issues here at Sundial is we have dehumidifiers throughout the pool area. I don't know, Mr. DeLazanti, did you want to address any of the Bell issues now, or?
No, not really. We were well aware of all those issues. We have issues with the pool decking in general. We have research going on. The bottom line is we try to put surfaces out there that aren't as hot, but they don't last very well. If you look at a lot of commercial properties, they go back to stamped cement and you wear flip-flops. It's just, there's nothing that really holds up very well to the Arizona sun and the chemicals. It's not that we haven't tried, and we continue to try to do repairs, but it is a conundrum.
Madam President?
Director Collins.
Another thing there, a few weeks ago, the women's bathroom by the golf, miniature golf was out of order. And they have to wait until 4 o'clock in the morning to fix a lot of this stuff because they have to shut off the water to the entire complex. But they did get it and they fixed it, so they are working on these issues. It's just one happens, it takes time to get to the next one. But I know they fixed the ladies' room just last week.
I went today, the caution signs are back up. It's taped off.
By the miniature golf and tennis?
No, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. That one was broken last month, and they did work on it, and they got it fixed. So they are working, and these are just other things that are breaking in the meanwhile, and it takes a little time, especially when you have to shut down all the water in the center to fix something. So please have a little patience. I'm sure they'll get to it.
Mr. Roloff.
Ben Roloff, 12663. I have no questions. I have no complaints. And I have no long-term history for you today, but some more recent history. I'd like to hitchhike just briefly on the comments the gentleman had said earlier about the Wednesday night entertainment. We are without peer. My wife and I are first-day purchasers of season tickets and have been from the first time they were offered in Sun City. This year was exceptional, an exceptional program. Coming into the meeting today, I looked and I saw the 2025 lineup is up already. Congratulations, Mr. All Things Non-Golf, for putting that together. And if I read correctly in News and Views, opportunities this summer we've not had before. And if I'm not allowed to escape for the summer by my medical team, I may partake in all of them. And we used to have like one rock and roll dance in the summer as a summer thing, or maybe two. It looks like we've got a variety show here, like every other week, and different kinds of entertainment. That's absolutely outstanding. And then another compliment, take a look around this building in terms of why this is so unique. I have been up here in the past, and I've been critical about our technology, mostly about publications, and particularly about the internet. But this is an exception in this building. We put on top-notch Las Vegas entertainment in here, and not only can you see it from here, but you can see it well with screens that no one has in retirement communities. Not at the Grand or at Sun City West. Yesterday I was seeing friends in Sun Lakes. They would love a large community in the East Valley like us. They'd love to have such a facility as we have. That's because boards in the past have honored the requests of our jewel, Mr. Alan Kleinhans, who has come to us with the recommendations of what we can do to enhance our enjoyment of our entertainment here in Sun City. So hats off to past boards. Please continue that as he comes with requests to even improve on that. Let's keep the rest of our neighbors jealous, at least about this, and let's brag about all the things that is good. I promised myself no long-term history, but I can tell you in 1997, my wife and I played golf at Willow Brook Golf Course. We came around the back nine on a Sunday morning over a little hill, and there was a posse member there in uniform holding his hands up and saying, "Stop." And I said, "What's going on?" He says, "National Geographic has a crew in here. They're filming the coyotes." Their adaptation to city environments. That was 1997. Fast forward 2008, I was president of Sun City Homeowners Association. I invited the head of the Fish and Game Department to come over for an open public meeting in Sun City. And he talked about what they did in the past, tranquilizing coyotes, take them to Wickenburg, turn them loose, and the next day, the next most dominant pack moved into the neighborhood where they moved them. So is it an old-time problem? Yes. A solvable problem? I don't know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Pat Seaborg, 168448. And I'm here just to address some thoughts I have about the property on Thunderbird. I don't have a strong recommendation for or against, but I do have a cautionary tale. And that is that for many years in my working life, I was on the management team of a hospital that was very similarly constructed. It had a center courtyard or a center area of the building with pods going off in each direction. And it was built in, I believe, 1968. We had complete plans for how the hospital was built. And yet every time we did remodeling, we had a lot of problems. It wasn't built according to the way the instructions were on our what do you call those plans, blueprints. And it was full of asbestos, even though we'd paid to have no asbestos in it. Just to give you one example, we did a lobby remodel that was supposed to take 6 weeks. It took 11 months. And so I guess I just want to say that you can't really know structurally what that building is going to be like to remodel. Maybe we would be lucky and everything would work out great. But I experienced the other thing. And keep in mind, we used this hospital all the time. We had a full-time maintenance crew, so we were very much on top of things. It was a very difficult model to work with, so please be cautious. Another suggestion I would have would be that things have been very vague about what this building would be used for, and I think that vagueness only increases people's anxieties about what is really going on behind the scenes. I myself would appreciate if you gave us a laundry list of these are the 6 things we think might work here. We're not committed to doing any of them, but they're the things we're going to at least look at. I think people would feel a little bit more reassured that they know why this property is being pursued. Right now it feels very vague, and I think that stimulates uneasiness. So thank you for every great thing you guys do. I know you hear a lot of criticism, but I appreciate the rec centers and everybody in a role in leadership. So thank you.
Brenda Frank, 149988, and I just want to say that I'm neither against nor for the building, but I think it's responsible to at least look into it. Do your due diligence. Is this a project that might make sense for Sun City? And I applaud you for at least taking a look at it to see. As others have said, there may be some issues. Maybe the best thing is just to tear the whole thing down and build pickleball courts. I don't know. But that would solve some screaming from some quarters of Sun City. But there are a number of things that potentially could happen with the building. Is it worth it? Don't know, but do your due diligence, look into it. I appreciate the fact that you are taking the time to do that, and I know there are a lot of residents who appreciate that you're at least considering, you're not making a commitment, you're just looking to see what's possible, and I think that's great. I also want to state that I appreciated seeing the org charts published. I'd been looking for those online and never found them for the last 5 years. I think that's really important. And I was shocked to find out that Brian had been responsible for the keeping outdoors of all the facilities, not just golf. So I was very pleased to see that there was something carved out, and I think some of the changes that you're making make absolute sense to me. I don't agree with every single one, but you're certainly taking us down a road that we need to go, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob Zarember, 39772. I didn't get a chance to ask some questions earlier, which I'd like to do now. Without risking your confidentiality, which I'm sure you find very precious, what are the issues in the negotiation with Maricopa County Library District. The other problem, or the other question, I'm sorry, is when the Grand Center property was purchased, I may have been still working at the time, and maybe it didn't register with me, but I don't recall, after your decision was made to purchase it, any kind of referendum for the community to decide whether to purchase or not. Will you do the same with this Thunderbird property?
Madam President.
Any answers?
Director Collins.
As far as the Grand Center property, when that was purchased, there was no referendum, and it came out of general fund money, not even PIF. It was a decision by the board, and the previous board. It was not this board. It was a board back quite a while.
Yeah, it was quite a while. But the question is, as I recall, the purchase price was $750,000.
Correct.
It was under $1 million. But the amount that it took to renovate and build the new area for the vintage club, the vintage vehicle club, the archery range, the garden club, I'm not sure how much that amounted to, but it was very substantial, I'm sure. So do you feel that there should be a referendum to allow the people in the community to decide whether we want to spend all that money?
It is not directed in our bylaws or in our, that we have to get public approval to buy a property. Later, we ask and we do things to find out what you want on the property. Huh? Oh, and Karen?
So perhaps I could just flesh that out a little bit. So we don't operate on all decisions. We have a representative form of government here, just like we do in the United States, that you elect a board to make decisions for you. This board is very, very interested in getting input from membership, but we also realize that there's sometimes a squeaky wheel phenomenon that takes place where a group of people that's not trivial in nature can make a lot of noise, and you can mistake that for extrapolate that over the whole community and think that they're speaking for 80% of the people, which is not always the case. So when the board does make a decision, we're very interested in gathering all pertinent information, and some of that is the value that we get from comments that people make here. But we have to end up making a decision that we believe is the best thing. And that's the way that representative government works. So it's not an either or. It's not like you either have no voice in it or you have the ultimate voice. But we don't think that it's wise to operate on a referendum basis where all decisions, if that were the case, you wouldn't really need to have a board. You could just do referenda on everything. And so I guess I could pledge to you that your voices will be heard. We won't be doing this in secret. I think you've seen already that what we know, we have and are able to share with you, we have shared with you. I think the long-range planning committee is meeting this week, isn't it? Tomorrow, Preston. So that's another step in this. So the Budget and Finance Committee had a chance to, in executive session, to go into some of the details that are involved in this, being that it is actually a real estate transaction. It's not something that you want to be completely public. So that's, I guess, my response to you is that we want to hear from you, but the board will have to make a final decision.
Thank you. Can I get an answer on the other question about the issues that are being worked out with Maricopa Library District?
Actually, we answered that question a little earlier to the extent that we could answer it. We're in the midst of negotiations, so we're going to hold the information very close. Mr. D. Lazansky, is there any further information you think you can reveal?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, your voices are being heard, and as we gather more and more information, we mentioned earlier today that we're now including our corporation counsel in this property item. As information becomes available, we will certainly share it. We have a long way to go before we get all the answers that I think we need on this property.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to make another comment?
Yes, sir.
Granville Pearson, 128171. I'm talking about the sound system. I'm not a sound engineer, of course, but I think the listenability could be enhanced if there were speakers on this direction or somewhere else instead of coming from one direction. It can be heard, but it's not always perfectly clear. Some voices don't come through clearly, but I do think the sound system could be enhanced by having more than one direction for the sound coming out, and maybe you could look into that, possibly. Okay?
Yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lorraine Chalaba, 145957. I skipped a question, sorry. But you're moving to the electronic purchase of cards for guests. There's a lot of identity theft out there, so what are you doing to make sure, because the last thing Sun City residents want is to input their credit card or debit card information and then have their identity stolen. So are you looking at putting additional security on those transactions?
Mr. Diaz.
So we do a lot of transactions involving credit cards using the portal, and there is a lot of data security layers on that portal. We do not store credit card information on our systems whatsoever. As soon as a transaction takes place, that information is deleted. So we don't have an issue with ransomware or people stealing data, because we just don't keep credit card information in any of our systems. So this would just be another transaction in addition to all of the golf transactions that take place over the portal that would be done using the same exact systems and security that exist right now.
Okay. Do you have any backup if someone's card is breached or stolen and it's traced back to the RCSC? Do you have any backup plan on recovering funds for people in case their cards are stolen? I mean, because I line dance in this room with a lady who told me she just had her identity stolen and they took $25,000 out of her savings account. So she's very anxious about sharing any kind of debit or credit card information.
So again, we've been taking transactions, larger dollar transactions than a punch card sale on our portal for quite a while, and we feel like we have a very robust security program to not allow that information to be stolen, because we just don't keep it. So I think we're comfortable with the layer and the level of security that we have over electronic transactions over that portal right now.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Zavala. My number is 162473. I just have a comment about the fans. One lady was saying that some people have problems with fans because it's too cold. I myself sweat like a workhorse, and I need the fan. So all or nothing is not a good solution. So maybe there are some other considerations, like mounting the controls on the wall where they can be accessed but not removed. They can be controlled, but they stay on the wall. So if damaging or stealing them is an issue, that solves that. Or you can, for example, in the Bell where I go, the fans on one set of the treadmills can have access. The ones along the other wall that look out onto the walking pool, no fans. So it gives everybody a place to be so that they can utilize the equipment without having to suffer dry eyes, whatever it is, and me losing 10 pounds in water weight. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Oh, also, if you're really serious about getting feedback, then one should probably solicit input, because the only people that are going to complain or make comments are the ones that are really having issues. But that doesn't give a full picture, because I didn't know that I can go to somebody and voice my concern about the fans not being controlled.
Just to piggyback on that, it's not, if someone comes and has a conversation with the center leader, that does not mean we're making a change based on their feedback.
I didn't think
Just so that, I don't want a couple people being upset with something and going and thinking we're going to change it right away. We're using it to make educated decisions for the betterment of the members. So we need to do what's best for everybody.
Right, that's understood, but if you have limited input, you're having limited...
Totally correct, yeah.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Lori Ellingson, 133335. After listening to everybody, there's so many issues that I could comment on that need to be addressed, and it's just way too many. The biggest thing, communication. One of my favorite movies is Cool Hand Luke. And the famous quote from that is when the warden says to Cool Hand Luke, "What we have here is a failure to communicate." That is huge within the RCSC. Lack of communication, lack of who do we address, how do we go through the proper chain of command, who do we speak to without being told we are interfering with management? How do we address the issues with the staff? How do we communicate with our membership, with our residents? There's no directory. If I am here and I see someone go up and speak, and I like what they're speaking about, and I want to help with that issue, how do I get in touch with that person? I worked at the Denver Country Club. They give every member a bound directory with every single person's picture, their phone number. They can get in touch with each other. We can't. I was so impressed when Sue was able to address the issue with the library. How did she reach that many people in that short of time? How did they get 8 to 10 people to write in the Sun City Independent, in the opinion section, that quickly? Why can the Friends of the Library achieve that, but our rec center cannot? That is our biggest problem. If we could communicate, if people could understand what is being done, why it is being done, we wouldn't have many of the problems that we're addressing. The other issue is safety. And I know my time is 14 minutes. I'm wondering why, 14 seconds, why some of the other speakers, there was a failure to add that timer. So I will wait my turn, and I will come back and address safety.
No one is
Okay.
behind you, so please feel free.
Reset her time.
I totally understand one reason for the problem with the library at Fairway. Unfortunately, I live on the wrong side of the tracks. I live real close to Fairway. I live real close to the rehab center, the food bank center, the Wells Fargo bank that closed, and now there's a giant dumpster. The strip mall that backs up to the Sun Bowl and to the softball field. I know how many homeless people are living back there. I know that there's an RV that's been solidly camped back there for the last 2-3 weeks. I know the gate going through that wall into the Sun City Sun Bowl parking lot has the cast iron bent so that someone can easily walk back and forth. My propane tank was stolen 3 weeks ago from my grill in my backyard. I Googled, why do people steal propane tanks? They use it to make meth. They use it to make bombs. I saw on Next Door Neighbor, there's a lot of people that have their propane tanks being stolen. My bicycle was stolen from the side of my garage. I see all kinds of homeless people riding, and you know they're stolen bikes because they don't fit them. I go by Fairway every night. I go at 9 o'clock at night. I go at 11:30 at night. I go at 1 o'clock in the morning. That gate is never locked. The gate leading to the Best Friends Dog Club is always open. I asked one employee, why is that? They said it was because they need the gate to be open so the homeless and the transients can come in and get a drink. We have a drinking fountain on the outside of the building. There's an electrical outlet to the east of the Best Friends Dog Club training facility. It is not locked. The fence is maybe 4 feet high. Anyone can go over that and sleep overnight in the Best Friends dog training artificial turf. They can go where the dogs have their potty area, and they can use the water there. The lawn bowling at Fairway, there's only a railing that is 2 feet high. They can go over that. They can go to the drinking fountain by the lawn bowling. 3 employees from Fairway have had their cars stolen, have had the catalytic converters stolen. They are afraid at night when they leave, when they get off their shift, they're afraid to walk to their car. One employee had a bicycle stolen. I've asked, why is that gate open? Another employee said, it's because is the only way that the night shift can walk to the dumpster. And they only have one key. And they can't lock it and unlock it. Why is Oakmont now secured like Alcatraz, but we have done nothing at Fairway? Right across the street, directly east, is the drug rehab center. Right across from that is the abandoned Wells Fargo bank that no one is there. Right behind that, there are 8 dumpsters in that strip mall that are totally full. There are signs saying no dumping, no loitering, and yet there's couches, there's recliners. At one point, there were 7 mattresses back there. That issue is not being taken care of. And we might as well put on our little neon signs, steal our stuff, because we are allowing that to happen. And in return, what is happening is we are getting a reputation, and people do not want to live in Phase 1 because it's the wrong side of the tracks. Connie?
Lori, what?
Excuse me. First of all, Treasurer Borski, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
Yes, I did.
Please.
Lori, I live in Phase 1. I live off the Country Club golf course. I see homeless go through every night. If you look at the green areas between the rows of duplexes, they put up no trespassing signs recently. The homeless are there, and you're kind of making our point when it comes to Fairway. If we have a 4-foot fence, they'll go over it. If we have an 8-foot fence, they'll scale it. If we have a 10-foot wall, they'll find a way. We cannot solve this problem. This is a county problem. We can put up all the signs we want to put up. We can put up all the fences we want to put up. And if someone is determined to get into our land or our pool or our water fountain, they're going to find a way. We don't have 100% security 24 hours a day. Should we do that? Maybe, but it's going to cost all the members a ton of money to do that. Will that solve the problem? I'm not sure. I don't know what to do to solve not your problem, right. Our problem.
And I totally agree with everything that you say. What needs to be done is we need to change the image of Sun City. Sun City Grand dropped the name Sun City, now they're the Grand. They dropped their age requirement from 55 to 45 because they want to draw a younger crowd and they want to draw a more affluent crowd.
Okay, the Grand dropped their ages because they're having problems getting people to move in. That's one of the reasons they had, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know how to keep the homeless away without the county doing something and putting their foot down. We can't control the streets. We can't control the people coming out of the riverbed.
We can't, but what we can do is change the image so that more people want to move here and they want to improve the quality of their property, and therefore they will start using the banks and the banks won't close. They will start using the restaurants and they won't close. We used to have a Trader Joe's. They pulled out. Tivoli used to be kitty corner from Duffyland Dog Park. They pulled out. Wells Fargo closed down. The bank, Ace Hardware in Youngtown closed. The bank right there closed. We're not getting businesses to come here to support the community, and therefore we're not getting a higher quality of people that want to move here and improve our property values and improve the image of Sun City.
Secretary Rickmeyer, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
I mean, Lori, as connected as you are with things, if they're, and I don't mean to sound sarcastic, I just have one of those voices, so I apologize in advance. Have you reached out to the county with regards to that strip mall that has all those dumpsters behind it, or have you reached out to, I mean, this is not the right, we understand, we get it, but this is not the right entity to to address those issues.
I have to disagree because the last 4 people that moved here, I asked them, one moved from down off of Indian School in 23rd. Another one moved from Litchfield Park. Another one moved from Goodyear. Another one moved from Chandler. I said, why did you move to Sun City? Every single one. It was the only place I could afford.
Madam President.
One moment, please. Understandable what you're saying, but I think the point that maybe was trying to be made here is this isn't the venue. We have a Sun City Homeowners Association. They're responsible for property value issues. They're responsible for I'll just use the word Hoya, for the community. We're a corporation that specializes in recreation.
Correct.
We don't have a resolution for the homeless problem, although I might say that if we continue to support people who ask for our money on the street corners, they're never going to leave. If we don't encourage, I'm not even sure what to encourage here, that we do care about our community, that we don't want people standing on our street corners. But while we continue to give people money, they will stay, and there's no incentive for them not to stay, and perhaps others gravitate for that same reason. Clearly, the community is undergoing a struggle here, but this corporation is responsible for recreation for its members, not for the Hoya requirements or for keeping the community clean, although we support all of those things.
And I totally agree with all of that. My point isn't so much the problem with the homeless. My point is the problem of the image of our rec centers, how they're run and how they are not being maintained, and how all the issues where you get somebody that is interested in retiring and they come and they look at the properties and they think, no, I don't think so.
Madam President.
People are wanting the wow factor. We don't have that. We have, and again, I was on the property and committees. I had Mountain View and Lakeview. I've got 90 photos of all the issues that would go with Lorraine's photos that she has of Belle. When those were brought up at a committee meeting, instead of addressing those issues and instead of being concerned, the comment was, oh my, there's a lot of negative comments now. Those have not been addressed. So it's about improving our rec centers. It's about maintaining our rec centers. It's about making the rec centers safe, and they're not.
Well, I would question whether or not they're safe, but
they're not safe as far as being able to walk into them, safe as far as how they're operated.
Okay. Director Collins, you wanted to make a comment?
Like we've told you, this is an issue for the Maricopa County, the state, and the federal government, not us. We don't do anything with the homeless. But lowering our age limit down to 45, maybe you should ask our residents if they all want to pay school tax. Those are issues that will come with that if you start messing with that stuff.
I never said I want to lower it to 45.
Yes, you said that in the very beginning.
I said Grand did that.
And they pay school tax already. We do not.
I know, but you're not understanding the point.
Treasurer Borski, did you have a comment to make?
We know our rec centers have not been taken care of properly.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot live in the past. That's done. That's over. That's finished. We know we have a lot of maintenance to do. We know we have a lot of repairs to do. And our administration and our staff is working on it. It's not going to happen overnight. 3-4 years down the road, we'll look a whole lot different than we look right now. It takes time, and it takes money, and it takes people. We will get there. If you are talking about promoting Sun City as advertising, that would probably be something that would come out of communication, or even a museum, or people just talking to people. We cannot clean up the streets. We cannot clean up the strip malls. We cannot do anything about the homeless. It's a national economy issue. We can't call the strip mall and say, please dump your dumpsters. That's their issue, not ours. We, as our president has said, we are a recreation center.
Okay, so everything you're saying is true. It is correct. You're saying what we can't do. Please tell me what you can do. Please tell me how you can improve the maintenance, how you can improve the communication, how you can improve how people perceive Sun City.
We are working on that 100%.
Okay. One last thing.
No,
This
Lori,
Friday, Del Webb
Lori, we have
birthday.
people who are waiting, so please, we've given you a considerable amount of time. Let them speak, and then you can come back again.
Oh, I was just making an announcement about Del Webb's birthday.
Thank you.
Jean Totten, 148753, and I also got up to do that. This Friday, the museum, Del Webb Sun City Museum, is hosting the 125th birthday of Del E. Webb, the founder of Sun City, the community that changed a nation from 10 to 4. I think we all could use the time to go and have some refreshments and enjoy the museum, the docents, the people who are busy communicating about Mr. Webb's birthday, and I hope to see you there. Oh, and it's also sponsored by the Nixon Group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Pearson, 133438. I came in at 10:15 hoping to drop off a document for Anita and to get out of here quickly. That didn't happen. I wasn't going to speak, and I rue the day that I have to come back here again, but I sit here listening, and I'm dumbfounded. This community was started in 1960. History told us exactly how and why it was successful. Bricks and mortar were incredibly important in 1960 and were until the internet became available to the world. And now bricks and mortar are dying in the vine. There were 16 shopping centers in this community. We don't need them. People don't shop like they used to. There was a bank on every corner. Guess what? Banks are closing because people don't bank by walking into them. They do it online. Life has changed. We can't stop that. Homelessness isn't an issue in Sun City. It's an issue across the country. If you think we can make it away by saying to Matthew, get him out of here, it ain't going to happen. This community was built and founded on the basis that it was for average to moderate income retirees. It still is. Ben can tell you there were tons of millionaires that lived here. There's still millionaires that live here. They like value. They like a bargain. They like living in a community that's got all this stuff for so little money. This board made a huge movement in the last 2 years to start opening up the doors and letting you be to comment. Guess what? There's 300,000 square feet of covered space. Stuff happens. What Matthew talked about regarding our pools, it's been going on for 20 years. We've tried every surface known to man. I finally heard an answer. Put concrete down, it'll last forever, and put your flip-flops on and quit moaning about having to walk on hot concrete. There's your solution. I'm sorry, at some point, practicality, logic, common sense has to prevail. With all due respect to every comment and every criticism, it's getting better. Quit your whining and just appreciate just how darn good we have it here. Thank you.
Thank you. And on that note, and seeing no further members to speak, I will let you know that the annual member meeting is scheduled for March 11, 2025, here at Sundial at 6 p.m. The next board meeting is scheduled for May 30th, here at 9 a.m., and the next exchange is scheduled here on June 10th at 9 a.m. There being no further business and without objection, this meeting is adjourned. Please remember to turn your electronic devices back on. Thank you.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.